podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I not only say the things I need to say, but the things I think you need to hear. And your feelings, they're not a factor. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out as we do by saying Josh, B-Word, Iceman, Jason, Miss Aaron, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, and the fellas over at the Weathered Report. Thank you for your continued patronage. You mean the world to me. You guys, you complete me. All right, so with that out of the way, it's time to start talking shit. Okay, so this past week, the stupidity of the masses has reached a point that we have not seen since probably the late 70s, early 80s. It kind of galls me to say it, but fucking McCarthy was right. And if you don't understand that reference, stop the show, go pick up a fucking book. Now, the McCarthy reference is in reference to, there was, in the 50s, there was this massive persecution of Hollywood and a lot of college campuses. Well, there was a guy named Joe McCarthy, and he went out there and he was hunting commies. He saw commies everywhere. He was actively persecuting commies, like to the point of ridiculously, to the point where you could wind up on a list and nobody would hire you because you were a suspected communist sympathizer. Like the way the 50s were, they're portrayed on old movies, portrayed on TV. And that was legitimately going on. Joe McCarthy was on a witch hunt to get the commies out of America. Well, apparently he didn't do a very good fucking job, because the commies are making a resurgence here in America in modern times. Unfortunately, well, I mean, it's predictable at this point, because the people who coach and sympathize and endorse communism, they're some of the stupidest motherfuckers on the planet. Communism is a fantastic idea on paper. Communism is not a practical, applicable thing. Like, on paper, it's perfect. Everybody contributes what they can and takes what they need, and everyone's happy and everyone's blessed. The problem is, it does not account at all for human nature. Human nature is people want as much as they can get their hands on, regardless of whether they deserve it or not. And they are going to beg, borrow, steal, lie, cheat, and make sure they are fucking over everybody else they can in the name of taking care of themselves. Humans, by and wide, are not altruistic enough for an idea like communism to work. You want a proof that communism doesn't fucking work? Look at every third world shithole socialist country on the planet. There's nobody leaving capitalist societies to go live in these communist paradises. And now a lot of people make this argument. They say, well, there's nobody trying to escape capitalism to go flee to communist paradises. I'm not going to say it that way, because you don't need to escape a capitalist society. You're free to fucking go. Under a capitalist society, you're under no obligation to stay there if you're unhappy. You get your shit, you fucking leave. So nobody is voluntarily going to these communist paradises. And you get this, it's like portrayed as a stereotype, but it's legitimately the argument that comes out of these dumb motherfuckers is, oh, well, that's not real communism. They're just not doing it right. Or that's because capitalism is fucking it up. And it's like, no, you simple-minded motherfuckers. That's not how it works at all. And why are we starting in right on the commies, Aaron? You might ask yourself, and I'm going to tell yourself. We're starting right in on the commies because over this week, we started seeing a lot of protests on college campuses. And I'm using very loose terms of saying they were protests. But it was all like Hamas-backed pro-Palestine, like basically trying to take over campuses. I think it was 11 or 12 campuses by the end of the weekend that were being occupied by these pro-Hamas organizations. Tons of communist graffiti, the hammer and sickle, and a bunch of like printed flyers endorsing Marxism and all this other shit were found at multiple locations where this was going on. Now, with the stuff that's going on here, it's not surprising that it's turning up in college communities, because as I've gone on ad nauseum at this point, these are some of the most arrogant, self-assured, egomaniacal fuckwits on the planet. They're utterly convinced that they are somehow better, smarter, and more aware and astute than everyone else in the world, despite the fact that they have next to zero practical real world experience, they are making massively poor decisions. They are being led around by the fucking nose, thinking they're somehow smarter and better than everyone else in the country because they went to college. Now, meanwhile, in that college, they learned nothing of any actual business use or import. They really accomplished nothing, achieved nothing, learned nothing. They did not learn critical thinking. They learned to be indoctrinated. The system has been set up the way it is for years now, where they are not teaching critical thinking. They're not teaching people to be better analytical thought people. I mean, obviously, there's exceptions to all the rules, and there's definitely the elite cabals where their kids aren't getting taught this shit. Their kids are getting taught to manipulate assholes using this shit. But I digress. Right now, we're focusing on the assholes. The mobs that have taken over quads and different sections of campuses on all across the country. And like not like, Shecky's house of fucking MBAs either. I mean like, Columbia, Harvard, UCLA, Arizona State. I forget which one of the Texas colleges. And they're trying to play it off like it's some grassroots, campaign of, oh, well, this is an outpouring of support for the people of Palestine. And it's already, been so thoroughly debunked. So many holes are poked in it. It's kind of refreshing. Like if we didn't, I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If we didn't have like X as a platform, we probably wouldn't be hearing nearly as much about this. The mainstream media is not reporting on it. When they are reporting on it, they're really trying to spin it in favor of all these, quote unquote protesters who are being some of the most obnoxious fucksticks in the country. Their behavior has warranted to the point where multiple universities have decided they're going back to remote learning for the rest of the semester. There will be no graduation ceremonies this year because they cannot guarantee safety for their student body, because all these arrogant pro-Hamas leftist shitheads who, by and wide, don't actually understand what it is they're trying to. I mean, they know they're very passionate about a cause. If most of them, when you talk to them, cannot elocute why they're very passionate about it, they cannot enunciate what the problems are other than, we need to stop this college we need to send a message so they're not being pro-Israel because Israel's committing atrocities because they're bombing people that came there and tried to kill them. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's never well thought out arguments. It's talking points. It's bullet points. It's regurgitating shit that they heard off of whatever influencer happens to be pushing their buttons. And they're trying to plant these off like these massive organic uprisings, but they're really not. And they weren't even well executed in terms of making them look fucking organic. Because on the media coverage that was out there, with a very cursory glance through with different campuses, you can see a lot of fucking similarities. Like similar signage, not just like, similar, looking like, they're using the same slogans, or they picked up this slogan and they picked up that slogan. But I mean, like literally identical, like they're printed up and being distributed, right? So you've got that going. Then you've got all these tents that are being set up into these tent cities where they're trying to occupy the quads and the public areas so they can stop other students from getting to class and disrupt the course of things and, shout their anti-Semitic bullshit and their anti-USA rhetoric. And you see like dozens of the exact same fucking tent, like all brand new. This shit was supplied. They've got food. They've got water. They've got all these supplies. And then you come to find out as they're getting arrested because the cops aren't really in this. And now I'm going to address this a little later on in the episode because I am a free speech absolutist. I really do not believe the cops should be involved in anything regarding speech, regardless of how spiteful, hateful, ignorant, or bullshit it is. Howsoever, there are contingencies to that, and we're going to get to that. But back to what I'm saying. So these people have started getting picked up. The biggest voices, the ones causing the most trouble, the ones being asinine and getting in people's faces, pretty much across the country, the deans aren't either backpedaling or the governors aren't having. There's been police involved in pretty much everything. You've seen pictures of snipers on rooftops in case shit starts to get violent and supposedly for crowd control and all this other stuff. I mean, I see snipers on a college campus, I think Kent State, and it's just, there's a lot. I'm old and I have a memory, so it's not always the greatest. Sometimes I get names wrong. Sometimes I get details wrong. But there are some pretty poignant things that I remember, like a picture of a hippie kid sticking a flower in the barrel of a rifle at a protest on a college campus back in the 70s. These things did happen. That's one of those things. I actually remember the past. I look at the past. I try to learn from the past. I try not to repeat the same fucking mistakes that my forebears made. But unfortunately, that's not the way the world works anymore in the average motherfucker's life. Now, there is an elite class out there, and I'm sure they've built on what they learn every generation because they don't subject their kids to the same bullshit that the indoctrination channels that are controlling all the average motherfuckers. But in the course of all these, protests, yes, a lot of people have gotten arrested. A lot of news has come to light. A lot of people have gotten interviewed by other people claiming to be social media posts. We've seen all kinds of shit. We've seen morons that are protesting by blocking public thoroughfares, blocking access to buildings, causing damage to property. Then they seem to think that's how a fucking protest works. And that's not entirely their fault for being fucking idiots who think property damage is the same thing as a protest, because that's what they've been fed. That's what our society has taught them over the last 5 years is when you get upset, if you go out and you destroy other people's shit, it's okay as long as you're doing it in the name of protesting because your beliefs and your tantrum are what's most important. But it's actually come to light that a lot of these motherfuckers don't even know exactly why they're there. There have been interviews of people saying, like, do you know why you're here? And they're like, well, we're here for Palestine. Well, what about Palestine? Well, I'm sure the college is doing something. I wish I knew more, but I know that we need to stop what they're doing. And you stupid motherfuckers. You're out here jeopardizing your own freedom. You're interfering with everybody else's course of life, and you don't even know why the fuck you're there. You're a stupid, smooth-brained fuckstick, and I really, really, really hope your parents didn't pay for you to be in college. I hope you're saddled with debt till you fucking die because you're a moron and you chose to get into this situation and you also chose not to fucking learn. Simple-minded fuckwits. But I digress. But one of the other things that came out and came to light through this process of people getting arrested, people getting taken away, we come to find out that the vast majority, something like 60% of the people that they have picked up and dragged off of these college campuses have no affiliations with the colleges where they are doing these things. They are being brought in. They are external agitators. They have no relationship with the college. They are there because they are there to rile up the fucking smooth-brained sheep that fucking pay $60,000 a year to be there and get them out there chanting and saying stupid slogans and fucking around and playing stupid games and winning stupid fucking prizes. And a lot of these people, it turns out, comes to light, and I hate to say this because just saying it makes me feel like a conspiracy theorist, but it's not. It's a verified, accurate fact. These people are being funded by George Soros. He has spent something like $196 million or some shit like that, putting money out there, paying these agitators to go to college campuses. And that's a ballpark figure, of course. That's more of a conspiracy side of things of how much he's doing it, but it's been verified that he's doing it. Where he's paying these people anywhere from like $1,800 to $2,800 a week to go stir up shit on college campuses. They're being funded. They, pays for their transportation, gets them there, gives them a stipend to live on. That's their job. That's the professional fucking agitators, and that's what they're doing. And it's not like this motherfucker's doing it by accident. George Soros and his fucking kid are garbage human beings. They should be one of the first ones up against the wall if things go sideways. I say that with my whole fucking chest. Fuck both of those assholes. I really hope bad things happen to them. They are destroying the fucking world. They're arrogant, fucking inbred, Kabbalistic fucking sacks of shit, and I hope bad things happen to them. But anyway, enough about the Soros boys. Back to the morons on the college campuses. So anyway, the assorted governors, assorted police entities have come in, started busting up these fucking clusterfucks. And this also kind of ties into something else I'm going to bring up here in a little bit. A lot of them are pushing behind the whole, we're not going to tolerate anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is not acceptable under any circumstances. Blah, 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 blah. Again, like I said, free speech absolutist. Do I think if you're sitting there judging a whole bunch of people based on the God they happen to worship, you're a piece of shit? Yeah, I do. That being said, you still have the right to say it as long as you're not acting on it. I like I said, free speech, fucking absolutist. It's not a complicated concept. It's a very simplistic concept. Say whatever the fuck ignorant shit you want. Just be aware you are entitled to the consequences of your speech. So if you say a bunch of ignorant shit, there's a chance you're going to get hit in the fucking mouth, or at least there used to be. Nowadays, we're full of fucking soy children and words are violence and trauma can be induced by just saying hurtful things. And next thing you know, you got some confused ass girl that identifies as a boy shooting up a Catholic church because they made him feel bad about himself. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I misgendered somebody. Yeah, no, it was a girl that shot up a school that identified as a boy, but she still had ovaries. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Like I said, it's... And I know I've said it before I firmly believe, not to go get on the whole trans thing again, if you're an adult and you want to transition yourself, that's fine. If that's how you need to deal with your issues and that's how you want to live your life, rock and roll, as long as you're not fucking hurting anybody. When you start going the other route where these people who are legitimately have fucking mental health issues, because nobody that takes a fucking gun and goes and shoots up a school is sane. I don't care how you fucking look at it. But anyway, we're not going to get off on that subject. Point is, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. People need to fucking remember that. People need to realize words aren't violence. Words are not attacks. Words are not going to hurt you if you're not a giant fucking child. That's my biggest problem with these motherfuckers, is they seem to think that their feelings are the only thing that matters and all this other shit. Whiny, entitled bullshit. But again, I digress. Now, to get into the fact of the other component of these protests, where once the cops did show up to start busting them up, and like the timeline where these college can't... See, the thing is, the cops can't just come in and bust up the fucking meetings. They can't do that. First, the college has to request that they clear the property, because they have to basically be told, these people were told they're not allowed to be here, they're now trespassing. Then the police come and they will issue a statement. If you do not disperse, you will be trespassed, and then you can be arrested, which is the legal way to deal with these things. And that's exactly what happened in a lot of these situations. Now, when the cops did start going in, and there's some great footage out there, there's cops doing flying tackles of people that were resisting. There's cops literally like manhandling and picking these motherfuckers up and carrying them away to cuff them up. And that's, yeah, I mean, just me being me, I think that shit's hilarious, because, again, I'm a big fan of fuck around and find out. And these morons are fucking around because they don't think they're going to find out. They think that they are somehow a protected individual. They're intellectuals. They go to college. Nobody would dare put their hands on them. It doesn't matter how entitled and obnoxious they're fucking behaving. It's the same mentality of pretty much everybody you see, quote unquote, protesting fucking anything these days, is, I'm the main character. I'm special. I'm allowed to be this way because that's the only way the world makes sense, is if what I want, what I feel is the right thing. That's the true thing. That's the accurate thing. And subsequently, you get these entitled fuckheads who think that they're not going to deal with any consequences for their horse shit. And then, you know, reality in a 6'3", 250-pound fucking linebacker of an officer comes up, grabs your monkey ass, carries you away till you're zip-tied and thrown on the back of a fucking paddy wagon. And hardy fucking har, as far as I'm concerned. And again, I can already hear the negative audience that lives in my head and critiques everything I say and do. Well, Aaron, I thought you said you believe in free speech. Why do you think the cops are... Well, first off, because these people are violating Aaron's cardinal rule, and it should be everybody's cardinal rule. Do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not interfering with somebody else's life. These assholes are deliberately interfering with people's lives. They are deliberately blocking thoroughfares. They are deliberately stopping people who identify with the group they apparently have a problem with from living their best lives. They're not peacefully making their stance known. They're actively interfering with other people going about their lives, and subsequently, fuck them. It's that simple. So, a lot of these deadlines come and go. The cops come in, they start cleaning house, trying to run these assholes out, picking up the actors, picking up the actual students who just heard they were protesting. They didn't really know how, why, when, what, where, or who, but they wanted to go down and be involved so they could feel like they were doing something with their lives instead of just going through in that sleepwalking haze that all these brainwashed fucks actually live in, which makes them that much easier to manipulate because they don't actually have anything going on. They don't have anything to identify strongly with. They don't have anything that is they're deeply passionate about other than this perceived idea of they need to be activists and they have to be signaling so people know how great they are and how serious they are and how intelligent they are and how empathic they are, or whatever other horseshit trait they think they're exemplifying through these stupid sheep actions where they just walk around with their fucking hive mind and they're fucking commie professors and their fucking degenerate, hands-off, fucking raised by the TV fucking parents who told them they could be anything they wanted to be and didn't add that caveat if they fucking worked for it. They just basically gave them the first half of the fucking spoon and didn't give them the bitter part of the medicine. Yeah, you're supposed to have the opportunity to be or do or say or feel anything you want to feel, but you have to take the consequences and you have to do the fucking work. Just because you want something is not enough reason for you to fucking have it. You are not entitled to anything. You do not deserve anything. And most of these fucking little simps don't fucking get that. They think that the Big Daddy government and the rest of the world is going to give them everything they need to make them happy. It's going to make their dreams come true. It's going to fulfill their worthless fucking lives and add meaning and depth to their fucking existence. And the problem is that doesn't fucking work. And it's not just them. This is where we get to the part where I was just like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. As the deadlines drew close and as the cops started clearing these motherfuckers out, you start getting all these fucking professors coming out of the classes, coming out of the buildings, walking out on the campus, trying to interfere with the officers enacting their duties, trying to interfere with these fucking bad actors being arrested. They think that they are, and again, we're a couple generations into college fucking campus commies who literally serve no purpose in the real world. They could not survive on merit in the fucking real world. They have degrees that are only useful in the halls of academia. And while I'm not one who's opposed to being an academic purely for the sake of pursuit of knowledge and learning, it doesn't mean you're a fucking expert at the way the fucking world works. If anything, you should be, if you're an actual genuine academic who actually values knowledge and research and thought, you should be aware of your own limitations and your own shortcomings. And that's a huge spot where many of us have this myopic just view of the world where we miss out on our own failings and our own shortcomings. Now, not necessarily you or me, because if you're listening to me, I'm assuming you are at least semi-aware of your foibles as a human being, because otherwise I would probably get really under your skin and you wouldn't want to keep listening to me, and you're not going to come back week after week unless you're just spite listening to me, in which case, hey, I still get the download. I don't fucking care. Spite away. As a matter of fact, go on X, try and get me canceled. I could really use the traction and the interaction. I could use the clicks, drive me some traffic. I need to get one of those posts up to a high enough number of views where I can monetize. It'd be fantastic if you hate listening to me till I could do that. There's a bunch of accounts I follow that pay for their little toys and shit with money they get from engagement from assholes hating on them. I just don't have the wherewithal to do it, or the time, or the resources, or the talent, apparently. But I digress. So yeah, we get all these fucking whiny professors that come out. Some of the campuses, it was individuals interacting, yelling at the cops, not realizing they're going to get fucking arrested too. I'm not sure which campus it is right off the top of my head, but there was a great clip of this woman who came out to interfere with a cop that was arresting somebody, and he put her on the fucking ground. And as she's laying on the ground, getting arrested for interfering with an officer in the course of his duties, she's laying there screaming, "I'm a professor! I'm a professor! I'm a professor!" Like that's some magic fucking word that all of a sudden means you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter that you interfered with a fucking officer fulfilling the tasks that he was assigned, doing his fucking job. Because you're a professor, you are not fucking subsequently going to deal with the consequences of your interference. You are not going to get put on the ground and fucking put into a fucking pair of zip ties because you're a professor. Oh, I'm a professor. I'm an economics professor. Who gives a fuck? Apparently, you're also an idiot. Because you came up and you tried to interfere with a cop arresting somebody because you figure they have a right to speak their mind, and the fact that they're doing so in the completely wrong method has escaped you because you're some ivory tower fucking indoctrinated fucking academic who has no grasp of how the real world fucking works. And unfortunately for these fucking people, when the real world clashes with the hallways of academia, the real world's gritty, mean, and doesn't fucking care. It's the townies beating up the fucking college kids. It's an old trope. Look it up. But yeah, so you get these college professors who are so convinced of their own sanctimonious righteousness that they think they're going to stop the police from interfering with these brave students that are going out there and boldly asserting that they don't know why they're fucking there. And at another campus, I think it was VCU maybe, they had a bunch of, when the deadline was rolling up where all these kids are going to get fucking cleared out. And bear in mind, like I said, it was like a 60-40 ratio of people who actually had any business being on the campus to random assholes who were there for a paycheck. And these professors all showed up and made a human chain around the students to try and stop the cops from getting to the students like, well, we're the faculty. You can't interfere with us. It's like, no, you fucking dolts. You're just making yourself accessories to a crime. You're not, because you're there as a professor, that doesn't grant you some godlike status where the cops are going to come and go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were tenured. No, it's going to be like, guess what, Brainiac? Hopefully you're smart enough to figure out what's going to happen when this Billy Club connects. And yeah, in a lot of ways, I think, a bunch of cops showing up in riot gear was a little bit excessive. But on the other hand, when you look back at what happened in the last election cycle, when all of a sudden these little protests were getting funded and set up and all, remember the mysterious pallets of bricks that showed up at pretty much every Black Lives Matter protest? They just would show up on random corners along the route of the proposed protest marches. Yeah, good times. Well, this is apparently people are kind of worried about nipping that in the bud and making sure this situation doesn't resemble that, particularly because of where it's happening. It's not happening in the inner cities. It's not happening in shitty neighborhoods where Targets and fucking Walmarts are going to be getting looted. It's the halls of academia. It's the sacred ivory towers. It's the fucking institutions that breed the mindless, smooth-brained sheep to further the nation along the moral path towards communism. So, yeah, of course they want to make sure those institutions are protected. They don't want their buildings getting fucked up. When it's a strip mall or a Target or a mom-and-pop business, yeah, no, that's fine. Fuck them people. They're working class. They're not nearly as important. Their lives don't matter nearly as much as ours do. Our comfort and convenience is much more important than theirs. Fucking dolts. But ultimately, it didn't work out well for them either. Yeah, I'm sorry. Your degree doesn't get you any extra fucking credit. When you're breaking the law, you're still breaking the fucking law. And yeah, that kind of ties into the whole why I'm really not too problematic with the whole cops coming to bust the situation up. Because I think we've gotten way too permissive with people. We've gotten way too comfortable saying, you know what? Yeah, it's fine if you want to be out here. We've allowed this entitlement where they think they can just go around fucking up everybody else's days. And you've seen it. It's a global phenomenon at this point, but it's realistically, these are the people that think they should be out there gluing themselves to the fucking road and blocking highways. And a couple weeks ago, there was a bunch of morons up here blocking the major access to one of the biggest airports in the country right outside of Chicago. Well, it's technically in Chicago, but where they were blocking the road was actually kind of outside the airport. But I digress. A bunch of morons inconveniencing literally hundreds of people, stopping them from making their flights, fucking up their entire plans. And those were climate change activists and not pro-Palestine activists. But it's the same attitude, the same entitlement, the same I can do whatever I want because, and again, I keep coming back to this as much as there was a time where I really found the whole concept irritating, but this whole, I'm the main character. The world revolves around me. I'm the important one. I'm the one who has to, achieve X, Y, and Z, so everyone else has to accommodate me. And it's like, no, you fucking cretin. You are somebody who has nowhere to be, has nothing to do, contributes nothing, and you are out here virtue signaling on an empty fucking premise based on something somebody else told you. It's not even original thought, and you are doing it in the most asinine manner possible. You're doing it in a way that is not conceivably going to win you any favor, not going to make anybody see things from your perspective. That's one of the things these fucking idiots don't understand. They can go out there and lead with all the righteous indignation they want. You don't win hearts and minds by wrecking people's days. You don't win hearts and minds by destroying people's shit. That's not how adults do things. That's how toddlers react when they get told they can't have another fucking cookie before bed. They start trashing shit. They start destroying things. They start causing problems. They start screaming and yelling and trying to talk over everyone else because that is how poorly developed juvenile minds fucking work. And unfortunately, we have this writ large at this point where we have these massive groups of juvenile fuckwits who seem to think their little tantrums are somehow going to change the fucking world. You're never going to change the world if you can't change people's minds and hearts. And you're never going to change people's minds and hearts by being a selfish little fucking cunt. That's really my takeaway from all this bullshit. I mean, there are so many decent people out there. I don't want to make it seem like I'm always being too negative. I get called out on that one a lot. Like, Aaron, how come you're always talking about the dark side of shit? How come you're always talking about the negative effects of things? How come you're always talking about how fucking stupid people are? Well, I talk about it because that's the stuff that's on my mind. That's what I need to get off my chest. the decent people that are out there, the intelligent people out there, the kids that are out there to still give me a little hope that we might actually be able to take this country back and take the world back from the fucking elitist motherfuckers. I don't need to talk about them as much, and maybe that's me being selfish. That's my own fucking fault, my own shortcomings, my own foibles. Those aren't the things I need to talk about and get off my fucking chest. And maybe I should be spreading that around. Maybe I should be spreading around there is some fucking hope. There are kids out there that are not morons. There are middle-aged people that are out there that are not fucking ready to roll over and be done yet. A lot of the Gen X people I know, which... I'm going to put a little call to action in here for all my other Gen X people. If you're around my age, I'll be nice. I'll go down to if you're up to 38, elder millennial motherfuckers, maybe, 40, well, we'll say 38. We can still fix things. We can still do better because we've kind of stayed out of all this shit. In case you weren't really paying attention, when it was like millennials and Gen Z versus the boomers, Generation X was kind of overlooked and left out of it. We were fine with that. We wanted to be left alone. We didn't want to deal with this bullshit. It's time to show these assholes how fuck around and find out works. And we were literally the last generation that actually had to grow up that way. So maybe it's time we come off the fucking bench, huh? Just something to think about. Speaking of things to think about, I would love to get some feedback from you guys. I'm going to put a question on the Spotify thing here. Otherwise, reach out to me through one of the socials or email me and tell me what you think about this. This is like an active imploring you guys, for fuck's sakes. It's kind of hard for me to get engagement out of you guys. I mean, I love you guys. I love that you listen to me on a regular basis. If you made it this far, you're a fan. I want actual feedback. I have an idea. I've talked about it before. I've got the recipes done. I want to get my spice line off the fucking ground. Just a little, without bitching about my situation too much, I'm in a position, I'm kind of hurting for funds right now. We all are. But I need to diversify my sources of income. And I really want to get the spice line off the ground. So I'm open for ideas for funding, whether it's going to be crowdsourcing or looking for investors. So if you got any ideas on this, let me know. Would you buy spice blends and stuff like that I put out to market? Would you buy a sample kit? Would you prefer that I just launch it wholesale or start out with those sample kits so people could pick the ones they like? I need some feedback. I need some help. I need to get these ideas thought out and fleshed out and fucking rolling because I got to do better. And I'm working on other stuff. I'm trying to get my Fiverr profile up to do voiceover work. I got a bunch of applications in for ACX audiobooks that I haven't had any bites on yet. But I don't know. I've been told I have the voice for it, so I figured I'd give it a shot. But like I said, ultimately, I need your guys' help. I know this is completely derailed off the whole thing, but I kind of ran out of gas on the negativity for now, so I'm going to just button it up. But I wanted to say this before I forget about it, so let me know what you guys think. I mean, I've had people say, yes, you should do the spice ones, but it's the how do I get there? Feedback is appreciated. Ideas, if you know somebody you think I should talk to about it, throw me a message, drop me a line, whatever. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Look forward to getting out these samples so you guys can see I actually do know what I'm talking about in terms of all the cooking stuff. I've been doing it for 20 plus years at this point. I'd like to think I kind of figured some shit out. So like I said, I really would love to get this off the ground, just so if nothing else, so I could share something I'm passionate about with you guys, other than just bitching into a microphone all the time. So I guess this is where I'm going to put a pin in it and wrap it up and say, for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show, buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.